Hey guys, I'm with the 2024 Mazda CX-30. This is the Turbo Premium Plus model. This year I've already driven its little siblings, the Mazda 3 hatchback and sedan turbos, and I'm going to tell you why this is a better buy than both of those cars. Now also check out my 2025 pricing and packaging updates for this model. This is a 2024, but they have increased the pricing by about $150 across the board, except for the base model for 2025. If you want to read more into that, check out the video in the description. So let's get into this 2024 model, and it starts under the hood. Lifting the hood, we have a 2.5 liter Sky Active G Turbo. We've seen this in the old Mazda 6, the old CX-9, but now we see it and the CX-50, we see it in the CX-5, you also see it in the Mazda 3 sedan and hatchback, and of course here in the CX-30. Now, this turbo engine has up to 250 horsepower on 93 octane. This has 227 horsepower when you put standard 87 octane in it, up to 320 pound-feet of torque on 93 octane, 310 pound-feet of torque on regular fuel. The styling has not changed over the years, and nor has it really needed to. The CX-30, this one being built in Mexico, some of them built in Japan still. It has that embodied Kodo design, which is kind of this timeless design. The only thing Mazda can do here to make this CX-30 look better is get away from all this matte plastic around the wheels. Now, even if they made it glossy black plastic, it still is just too much plastic at the bottom. Wish we had more paint matched wheel arches. It would really up the premium persona of this vehicle. Would it increase the pricing? Maybe just a little bit, but I think it would be worth it for the top trim levels. All right, we have 18-inch glossy black wheels here on this Turbo Premium Plus model. Of course, you'll have 18s on lesser models as well. I'll go ahead and put what the base sizes are down below. Standard all-wheel drive across the lineup, 6-speed automatic. I didn't discuss that when I was underneath the hood, but we'll talk more about that when we start driving. Beautiful dual exhaust here on the Mazda CX-30. It looks really, really nice from behind. Really strong design. Now let's go ahead and open up the liftgate here. Automatic liftgate, no surprise when you're paying about $36,000 for this. Look at this felt lined interior, super nice all the way. Look how easy it is to fold down the seats. Well, but we need to move that front seat forward, and that is one of the limiting factors here on the CX-30 is its rear leg room. So let's go ahead and close the hatch there. We have those heartbeat rear and front turn indicators, which is a Mazda signature, but let's go and get in the back. This is where the CX-30 is pretty limited. Headroom is actually decent here at 6'1". No problem. There's a little bubble that raises despite this having a sunroof. Let's go and close the door. Plastic here at the top, but nice inserts here and a brown accent for the black. So look at this. This is brown. Some of the inserts on the inside there is brown. The top of the dash is brown. The rest of the vehicle is mainly black on the inside. We have a little bit of brown accent in here, but these leather seats, this Napa leather is very, very nice. We have a fold down armrest, feels very soft, very premium. Vents back here, which is great in such a small vehicle. And these vents don't come in the Mazda 3 sedan or hatchback, so it's great to have this extra air conditioning back here for your rear passengers if you plan on keeping kids back here. But rear facing car seat is probably not going to be ideal. As you can see, this seat is pretty far back, but keep in mind this seat is further back than my seat. I'm 6'1". And yeah, it just depends on how tall your front passengers are going to be, but it is pretty small back here, and you have this big all-wheel drive propeller shaft tunnel that goes to power the rear wheels. So even the headrests, man, the headrests have a nice quality to them as well, but it's pretty cramped back here. So let's go ahead and get in the front seat. And you can see we have a higher floor and higher seat height compared to something like the Mazda 3. But let's go ahead and look at these Napa leather seats, very comfortable. I actually find them more comfortable than the CX-5 seats, which is a more expensive, larger vehicle. All right, Bose sound system in here in the fully loaded model. A little bit nicer materials compared to the back seat. We have a head-up display, which does show Android Auto directions and turn-by-turn directions on the head-up display. Here's the new 10-inch screen for 2024. And when I go to Android Auto, it is touchscreen capacitive. So I really appreciate that, because otherwise you're stuck using the rotary dial for everything else, but at least you can use the touchscreen for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is wireless. Now, if you want to do the wired, you do have new USB-Cs in here, which are illuminated. And if you guys want an awesome cord for Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, or just charging your phone or your devices, check out MagTame down below and get a nice discount, a 10% discount by clicking on my link. I really enjoy their cables for tidiness, but also interacting with the car through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So go ahead and check that out in the description. And we'll do a little 0 to 60. I brought my drag box and a felt lined interior there at the bottom of that armrest. All right, this area right here, Mazda could clean up a little bit. You can see dust accumulating here around the shifter, but I do love the traditional shifter here. Mazda's always focused on being maybe a driver-centric brand, driver-centric premium brand, almost like Acura is, which is quite interesting. Now, Acura will have actually a competitor to this car by the end of, or announced by the end of 2024 as the ADX, but available next year. In the meanwhile, here's the CX-30 with very little competition from its Japanese rivals. Climate control really tidy here, easy to work with, very self-explanatory. We have heated seats, heated steering wheel. No ventilated seats available, at least in our market on the CX-30. That would have been nice. We do have a wireless charger in the back. These cup holders are kind of in a weird spot, and if they moved the shifter maybe a little bit closer to the driver, they could open up some cup holders here. So it's not perfect with the ergonomics, but it is pretty good overall. Leather wrapped steering wheel, of course, a little 7-inch, I believe this 7-inch digital screen here, which is customizable. I'm only getting about 18 miles per gallon in town, and I'll reset this once we start driving to see if I can best that. But I will be pushing this engine and powertrain here a little bit with some 0 to 60s and whatnot. But let's go and start on the road here in this Mazda CX-30, and let's start with putting it in reverse. So you can see we have a top-down 360 camera. And let's go and put it into drive. This does have auto brake hold, meaning when you come to a stop, the car can keep the brakes on for you, so you don't need to keep smashing the brake pedal in traffic. But you do have to restart that button every single time you're in the car, but at least it's right here off of the armrest. Now, there's two places where the Mazda CX-30 really outdoes its Mazda 3 stablemate. The brake feel in here is surprisingly a lot more predictable and just perfect. I have no issues with the brake predictability or the brake feel. It just feels really nice. And the Mazda 3 sedan and hatchback, it just felt like nothing was going on with the brake pedal. And in the CX-30, you have none of that weirdness going on. Also with the Mazda 3 sedan and hatchback, they're very stiff. All right, now they do have, I think they have an 18 or 19-inch wheels, maybe even bigger wheels than we have here, and it's lower to the ground and there's less probably suspension travel. They're much more stiff and you feel the bumps in the road a lot more. Not here. The CX-30 is a very luxurious ride, very smooth, very compliant. It's fantastic. So the driving dynamics here are actually a hair better overall than the sedan and hatchback, and you wouldn't expect it from the looks, but this is a more refined vehicle and it doesn't really cost any more. So it just doesn't have that lower center of gravity, so around the turns maybe isn't quite as dynamic, but honestly, I'm really happy with the overall drivability of this Mazda CX-30 Turbo. Now, despite not having acoustic glass windows in here, it's pretty quiet. Around 50 miles an hour, even going over some weird bridge pavement there. Very little tire and road noise coming in and very little wind noise. So Mazda's just done a great job making this as luxurious as possible despite it not having luxury prices. And I'm going to hit on the brakes hard here. Great predictability, good linearity. It's fantastic. And I reviewed a vehicle fairly recently, which was a Lexus UX hybrid. That cost maybe 10 grand more than this for the F Sport model. This is more fun to drive. This has a better interior. The exterior, maybe I give the nod to the Lexus there, but I just feel like this has more overall cargo and usability compared to that UX as well. So I mean, I know that's like the low-hanging fruit to take aim at the Lexus UX, because that vehicle it never hit it for me for the Lexus premium brand from Toyota. I feel like I'm getting a luxury experience. There's nothing annoying about this car. Yes, maybe the rotary dial, but with Android Auto being wired, I never see the car's base interface. And I know some of you guys might play with the radio stations. Yes, you can put them on presets and never have to really work with the rotary dial either. So, I mean, to me, no annoyances in here. Volume knob right here off of the armrest. Space in here is good. The comfort's better than even the CX-5. Now, maybe if I have to get nitpicky, I will say that the visibility is quite limited in here. It's not game-breaking or deal-breaking compared to something like the Prius that has very limited rear visibility. Volvo C40 Sportback thing that has absolute no-buy visibility. It's just a little squinty in here. But let's go ahead and do a 0 to 60. I got the drag meter out. We're going to torque brake. We got it in sport mode. It actually chirped the front wheels there for a bit. 6.65 to 60 and 7.02 to 100 kilometers per hour. Tires aren't that warm. You guys heard it skirting around a bit. If you put dyno fuel around 93 octane in here, it's probably closer to 6 seconds. To me, 0 to 60 is one thing, but just overall usability, torque, and responsiveness of this drivetrain is where it's at. Off the line, this torque is immediate and it's just real punchy, almost like a V8, and I'm having to use the brakes quite nicely here because the Chevy tracks refuse to go around the bikers, and that's where I bury my foot. You're going uphill, tons of torque, tons of power, definitely acceptable. Now, I don't even think you need the turbo for this model. I think the base powertrain, you could save a lot of money going with that base powertrain, and it still has class leading horsepower and torque. Maybe the Corolla Cross hybrid has a hair more peak horsepower than the base powertrain, but this has a better all-wheel drive system than that hybrid, and it is more fun to drive. It has a much nicer interior than the Corolla Cross, a better exterior than the Corolla Cross. I could keep going. This is a better car than the Corolla Cross, but if fuel economy is the number one importance for you, this isn't the car. This car is for probably the best well-rounded vehicle in its segment. It looks good, it's fun to drive, it has great interior, great technology. It's just, you know, it falls short with its fuel economy for sure. And Mazda, all they have to do is maybe take that Corolla Cross powertrain. They're already doing it with Toyota with the CX-50. They're taking the RAV4's powertrain from the hybrid, sticking to the CX-50. I'd love for Toyota to stick their hybrid into this car, or for Mazda just to come out with their own hybrid to have all their bases covered. You have a base powertrain that's real fun to drive, but you know, 191 horsepower. Then you have this powertrain, which is luxury tier with 250 horsepower. And then you could have something around 180, 190 horsepower hybrid with 40 miles per gallon. And I think that would make a lot of people happy to have all those options within the lineup. Now, something I really appreciate here, and this does hurt fuel economy, I don't see a engine stop start feature. So when you're at a stop, the engine won't die. We see that, I feel like I've seen that in the CX-50 and the CX-5, but not here on the CX-30, or even the Mazda 3s might even have that now, the start-stop engine technology, but not here on the CX-30. I really appreciate that. It's not annoying. Again, like I said, very few things in this car that are annoying, and this Chevy pulling out, one of those very annoying things. But again, the brakes here are good. I forgot to mention I do have memory seats here. And that's, again, another nice luxury feature. The Bose system in here is quite nice for the sound. And I feel like, you know, my elbows are comfortable. That's a Mazda staple. They have the world's most comfortable elbow rests. So if you have pokey elbows, bony elbows, you're never going to be in discomfort here because they just sink into the endless pads on the door as well as the center armrest here. So Mazda, well done with the CX-30, and for 2025 the price is barely increased. The price of eggs, for example, saw way more price increases than the CX-30 did. We're just going to throw around the turns because even though it has a torsion rear suspension, it's still fun to drive, still fun and fairly lightweight around the turns. As we pass that, you know, Mustang 5.0, no big deal. I would say the HR-V might be a hair more fun in the turns in this. It feels a lot lighter, I would say. But the HR-V is a complete dog with its powertrain, 150 horsepower, the CVT. It's a dog. This is the real dog. This is the alpha in the pack for compact or subcompact crossovers. Love the Mazda CX-30. I'll catch you guys in the comments below. Do you think this is the best in its segment? Would you want to see a hybrid on it? Really, that's the only place where Mazda could really improve upon it majorly, in my opinion. Everything else on it is an absolute home run. It's priced right, it's packaged right, it does everything else right as well. Thank you, Mazda, for sending me the excellent CX-30, and I'm waiting for this light to turn green. And let's see if with the tires maybe a little bit warmer here, if I can get the drag meter up in time, we'll do a little 0 to 60, hopefully beating the 6.6 that we got a second ago. .69, which is pretty much the exact same. Even though the tires were a little bit warmer, I felt like I had slightly better traction there. Yeah. Just put premium fuel in it. That's what I'd be doing if I had this turbo. I wouldn't be underperforming this engine if I had it. So anyways, got to shut it down there. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one. Make sure you subscribe for more Mazda videos coming, news updates, car reviews, all that good stuff from the Japanese automaker out of Hiroshima, Japan.